Welcome to Sacred Magic. Violet is on a quest to bring sacredness back into our everyday experiences. Anyone can have an extraordinary life when they are able to tap into their sacred magic within. Violet and her guests will be sharing their divine passions, inspirations, and stories of connecting with their sacred magic. We are so happy you have joined us today. Let's get started with your host, the magical creator of Discover Your Spiritual Gifts, Vialet Rayne.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Sacred Magic Podcast. I'm your host, Vialet Rayne, and today I'm so excited about my guest. Her name is Julie Adreani. She is a spiritualist, a certified physical medium, a researcher in the field of mediumship. Julie is a successful and practicing physical transphenomenon medium, working in this area since 2013. Her dedication, work, and love in this rare art is an inspiration to many females, not only in the United States, but abroad. Julie is an honored member of the Lilydale Assembly in New York and also Camp Chesterfield in Indiana. She is also the host of one of the Bold Brave TV Network's long-running show, Chat with Minister of Angels, which airs every Friday night at 7 p.m. Her tireless work ethic and devotion to spirit has her traveling often, spreading the love of the masters wherever she's called. Now, I met Julie in Lilydale at a mediumship conference that went on a week, and I was so inspired by what she does that I had to have her on the show because it is fascinating. It is fascinating. So welcome, Julie.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here. And it was great meeting you in Lilydale. That's such a beautiful place for like-minded people.
It really is. Now, you do some work in the field of mediumship that I really want to talk about because, most of my students or most of my community understand that mediumship is connecting to loved ones, but you do even more work in that field that I don't think people understand or know. So when did you just automatically be guided into this work? How did you land into doing what you do today? Because I'm curious.
Well, so as a child, I always saw spirit. And so I knew of the spirit world. And I was always drawn. I was always drawn to the old reference books or anything I could find on trumpet work. I don't know if any of you have ever seen the big old long trumpets with white stuff coming out of them in the old days of mediumship. Maybe some have, maybe some haven't. And I do have one or two of them right here next to me that I can show you. And that's called a medium's trumpet. So I was always attracted to that type of mediumship. But I was always afraid, maybe not afraid, but I had this knowing of trance mediumship that, I held it off like as long as I could because I knew it was going to change my life. So when I started my first physical group in 2013 or joined, there were people and we were all sitting to see some sort of phenomena, an interaction with spirit. And go ahead.
I love that. I love that. And most people don't understand really what that means. So what is physical mediumship? What are the forms? Because I know there are many different forms of physical mediumship, but how do you define physical mediumship and what is that for somebody that has no idea what we're talking about?
Okay, so physical mediumship is something that everyone in the room or next to a physical medium can experience. Like it's physical activity, it's the manifestation of spirits or spirit activity. So, for instance, you could have something levitated, like the trumpet, for instance. Everyone can see this. It's not something that you have to be experiencing in your third eye or just by your clear senses. It's something everyone experiences or sees in the physical. So a physical medium can produce enough ectoplasm or energy for the spirit side to use to manipulate energy. So to lift a trumpet or to manifest a spirit. So I do work with loved ones because in my weekly circle, that's my cabinet right behind me. It's my red cabinet in honor of Jesus and Mother Mary. And my sitters who sit here with me may experience and see their loved ones come in through transfiguration, which is the spirits manipulating energy, ectoplasm. They're changing the dynamics of the atoms. So over your face, to where your face will change into that of the spirit trying to come through.
For most people, that would be a frightening experience, right? And we have to,
Yes.
I think getting very clear, because when I talk about some of this, my students are like, it takes their breath away, but it allows spirit to be able to come through because they're in another dimension. And what I got to see with you, so transfiguration was something that we saw a little bit of in Lilydale in our classes, where people's faces would change, where they would start to grow a beard or their hair would change under a light, and you would see things kind of move and change. It's not painful for the person doing it. They're not in pain. They're just with spirit, allowing them to come through them. And so people watching might say, gosh, that got to be painful. It's not. And you can
Yeah.
see it. You can see it, right? See your loved ones and be able to talk to them, which is really amazing. You talk about your red cabinet behind you, and I talk about cabinet work. And students are like, what are you talking about? Because no one here in Denver does what you do. Like, we got a lot of spirituality in Denver and a lot of teachers teaching lots of things. But the things that you're talking about, we don't have anyone here in Denver that does some of the work that you do. So explain to me, what is the cabinet? What's the purpose of a cabinet? And it's just a curtain that's around making a box, correct?
Yes. So for us, we consider it the Holy of Holies. It is the right dimensions that Moses sat in. It was given down through time, through the ancients. So the idea of sitting in the dark in the cabinet is so that it's like sensory deprivation. I don't know, you might know of people who sit in the power and will sit in a dimly lit room or maybe a dark closet. I sat in a dark closet for years and years before I built my cabinet. And I had lots of phenomena in there as well. Because ectoplasm can build in the dark. There's so many reasons to sit in the cabinet, but the first one that I teach is sitting with your soul. And you're taking away some of the senses, some of the distractions. It's a safe place for you to surrender and let go and feel safe to sit with your spirit guides and connect. And also to connect with your own soul and all of the beings and all of you who you've ever been.
I love that. I love that. One of the things they used a lot in Lilydale was a red light bulb. Why red? Why a red light bulb?
Because on a red light bulb, I don't know the exact terms, the difference of the light beams, there's an actual mathematical equation on how the beams are let out between white light, red light, blue light. And red light has the least destructive amount of rays coming out that would break down ectoplasm. So in other words, if I am transfiguring or if I have a spirit building up in my cabinet from my ectoplasm, it's not going to break it down. Sometimes my cabinet is open and then the sitters out there are able to see the materialized being with just a little bit of red light, but everybody's able to physically see it with their eyes. And another thing is, not only do they see it, but they feel it. So they know, you know when there's a loving spirit near. You know if it's sometimes we do get loved ones, grandparents, husbands coming in for, wives or vice versa. So we work a lot with the ascended masters, but also with loved ones and my own ancestry guides.
I love that. I love the work that you do. So, talk to us a little bit about how things can materialize in a space when you're doing this type of work. So, what are some things that can materialize and show up, and how does that happen?
Well, it happens through the medium being able to produce copious amounts of ectoplasm. Everybody has a little ectoplasm in their nervous system, in their spine, okay? Not everybody can produce enough of it for physical materialization. We do teach that there are ways to increase it, but still, it's up to your spirit team
Mm-hmm.
because you're working with them. So your spirit team with you and all your physicists and doctors that are working with you from the spirit side help these materializations to form. Okay, so I've had a couple of my little Yorkies appear. So the sitters would start to see the ectoplasm coming from the side of my mouth, nose, and eyes, which can be scary to some people if you're not aware of what's happening. And so what happens is it puddles on the floor. And then you'll see movements and it will start to take form. So they usually, it depends how long they last, at least long enough for everybody to see what's going on. And it depends what forms. Now, it doesn't always pool on the floor. I've had spirits like it just stay here on my chest area and they could see the swirl of the ectoplasm. And it's alive. It is like a live substance, and you will see it bubbling, almost like dough. You know how dough will bubble when it's rising?
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes it reminds me of that. And so sometimes there's just a partial, like a head of somebody who will materialize. But I've had full materializations who walked out into the room recently this last year. Dewalt Cool has been working with us, and he's my independent voice guide. And that means that he does not speak through the trumpet when it's independent voice. He materializes, goes out into the room through my ectoplasm, and he's called people up for personal readings and then apported something in their hands. Like they've been able to touch him. He's been able to give them a hug and a special gift, which is an apport. And I have some apports here. I know this is a lot I'm throwing on you for people who've never heard any of these terms.
No, I love it because I think it's so educational. So, share with us some of your airports and how
Okay.
they've come through.
Here, these are beautiful apports.
Wow.
They're multicolored and they're all different types of sacred geometry. And you can see these are embedded with codes, with upgrades for the people who receive them. So an apport is not just a fancy piece of jewelry. It's to be used. It's a tool for your spiritual development. Now here's a ruby. So this came out of my chest area.
Wow.
But there are many, many types of these gemstones. Now, these particular, so I work with multidimensionals and I work with a lot of the Ashtar Command. Also, more of the Palladians, some of the blues. So they are the ones giving, I call them cosmic stones, because these are really powerful and they're really going to be important coming up. Let's see. Oh, I have received this from DeWalt Cool. It's a ring. Now, this
Wow.
one, though, actually, it was when I was in a seance with Michael Shane, and it came through in his apports for me. But if you look at the side of this, it has all the sacred geometry that I had been doodling for the last year. These symbols were just in my head, and I've had drawings of these, and they're all on that ring. And I think they're all connected with the multidimensionals.
I
So
love that.
I was shocked to see that imprinted on the side of the rings.
So you talk about multidimensionals. What does that mean? What is a multidimensional?
So for me, I don't feel like we're only human. I feel like we have had many lifetimes of different sorts. And I do believe some people might call themselves a star seed, okay, or connected with ETs or aliens in some way. They feel very connected with different star systems. So for me, a multidimensional, I believe we're all multidimensional, and I believe it's all by choice. That if we want to reincarnate in a different solar system, we can. I believe we all have, from past lives at some point. But everything is by choice. So I connect with the word multidimensional, which means any life form.
I love that. I love that. I know with me working, I call them galactic or star
Oh yeah.
seeds, right?
Yes. Yeah.
They don't particularly like the word alien,
Right.
right? They don't like to
Yeah.
be called that, and I can understand that, right?
Yeah.
Excuse me. But the galactic or star seeds, because I, like you, believe that we've had lifetimes on other planets, other star systems. We have been part of these many different star systems and experienced different ones. And when we're open to that, just like I believe there are elementals, fairies, and dragons,
Oh,
and
yes.
mermaids, and all of those things that exist as well. And that some of us, what I found with working with people on a soul level, is they have aspects of these elementals that are part of their personality, which tells me that they have spent time being that elemental and they really resonated with that energy and they continue to carry it with them as an imprint within their soul of who they are. And so I really get that we're so much more than what we think that we are, right?
Yes. Well said. Yes. And can't you even, like you said, some people you can just see it in their face and their aura. Like maybe that was their most recent past life. I don't know why it's so much stronger with some people than others.
That's true. People in my center, it's really funny. I'm very known for when I get to know you, I can see that elemental in your personality and who you are. And every
Mhm.
elemental has a light and a dark or a shadow side to it, just like people do. And so you
Yes.
can see those elements in their personality, like the person that's very much a fairy that can't stay grounded, that's fluttering everywhere, or the dragon that's really, really grounded and loyal and kind of quiet and reserved. You can see these energies of these elements in people. And the mermaids, I'm the mermaid, very emotional. I am really sensitive to everything around me. And so you see that in people and their personality. So I think we're so much more than what we give ourselves credit for. So
Yes. I agree 100%.
So when I got to see Julie, she was doing a demonstration with her partner, and the name is slipping my mind right now. Was it
My
Michael?
Michael Shane. Yes.
Michael
Mhm.
Shane. So I was close. I heard Michael. Um, and they travel around doing these demonstrations of physical mediumship. And just for those listening, everyone in the room, and I think there were 40 something people in the room that night, got gifted a piece of jewels that that Michael was able to apport, he actually spit them out of his and onto a cloth, and they were as dry as a bone. So it was fascinating, and each person got a gift of those stones. And as you said earlier, they're coded with information for each of us.
Yes, and in Michael's case, so we're all able to do applications in different areas. It could be, again, the spirits coming through the group. Michael prefers to use under his tongue, and it's a vortex for him. That's where his vortex is. That is the less, easier passage.
Right. For
So,
it to come through, right?
yes, there. A lot of times, I'll do a cloud of ectoplasm around the room, and all the gemstones will rain down in the room. He can also do from his heart, or his forehead. I recently in New Jersey, while entranced, my Saint Germain was in Michael's cabinet, and told my husband, who helps facilitate, and the group to take me out of trance in the red light. And he materialized and helped me for the first time do apportation in the light. So that was a first for me. And it came through my forehead. And yes, I did feel it because I was not in trance. So, and they also came from my eyes. And everybody in the room was allowed to come up very close and witness it.
Wow.
So that was, just another elevation. So even though we do this, and some people might think, yes, it's a very, it's really for me, I feel like it's a natural progression of my mediumship.
Mm-hmm.
So some people are very comfortable with where they're at. I knew that there was more, and I had to, get a hold of it and keep going and keep going. So, but even though we're doing events and we're doing things, they're still working with us from the other side. We're still developing as well. I'm sorry. We're still developing as well. And here's another, another apport that came through my mediumship. And oftentimes we will get coins. So this is a Canadian coin. And there's a short story with this. I had just recently lost a very dear friend from my circle from Canada. And she had only been gone about 6 days. And we had this event to do here in Chicago. So I was not expecting her to show herself, but all of the coins and all of the apportations that came through were Canadian coins.
Wow.
So I knew they were from her, as the spirit spoke to. So it's incredible how if you're interested in this, there's a reason. Maybe you did it in a past life. Maybe you saw it in a past life. Maybe you just want to experience more of it. So I feel like, it's if you really are deeply looking for more, it's a really good place to look into physical mediumship, because there's apportation, there's transfiguration, there's trumpet work. And let me show you one of the trumpets here. Okay, let me get one. This is a medium's trumpet. It looks like a megaphone, right?
Mm-hmm.
And see, like, there's the hearts. So the trumpet comes up in the dark. It'll usually come right out of our cabinet. It'll start making some noise on the floor. It's made of metal. And when it lifts, you'll be able to see those are hearts on the inside that will glow in the dark. So
Wow.
that's how you'll know it's in the air, and it flies, and it's attached. The ectoplasm at the other end is attached to the medium. And this is where direct voice happens, like right up in here in this area of the trumpet, a pseudopod will be created for the spirit to speak through. And the pseudopod is just something It's a reproduction of something made from ectoplasm. So that's how, if you've ever been, and you've heard spirit speaking through the trumpet, it happens because there's that voice box created in there in the dark space that allows the spirits to speak through
So
while levitating.
I love that. So someone that's really interested in learning more about this and really feels like they're drawn to this type of work, where
Sorry.
would you recommend that they go and learn more about this? How can they connect to this type of information? What would be your recommendation for somebody?
Well, it's really good that you asked this question, especially the timing, because Michael and I teach classes, and we teach physical mediumship level 1, level 2, and level 3. Physical mediumship level 1, which we're doing a class that starts online on January 26th. It's a series of 8 classes. And if you look me up on Facebook, it's all the information, or anybody who wants information can just get in touch with me through Facebook, Messenger, TikTok, whatever. And I can also give you my website. But we teach it, and we feel it's important for somebody who's actively able to actually do it, you know, to show you and teach you. And the reason Michael and I partnered is because he has 30 years of experience. I have doing public demonstrations, 3.5 years of experience, but many more that I kept to myself, and I made sure I was developing properly, But so you have somebody who knows what you're going to experience, because it's still fresh in my mind. So it's really, we love this class. It's very successful. We just finished teaching our very first mediumship level 3, where everybody had phenomena, really great phenomena. So I know there are some people teaching where you might have to travel. For the level 1, when I took it with Michael, I traveled, and it was really a hardship and very expensive, because I had to have, he did the classes on the weekends, and so I was traveling back and forth to Pennsylvania, and that was a lot. I was exhausted when I got home, exhausted when I got back.
Right.
So you need all the information. That's how we're able to do it online successfully. There's so many things you need to know first to protect yourself, to build your cabinet, to know why we do it this way. And there's just so much, and learning to relax, to go into trance. So we can do all of that online. But if you get to the stage where you want to do more, and you want to do level 2 or level 3, then those have to be in person.
That makes sense, right? Because you need that support, right, of being in the physical space. I think that would be hard to do it on your own. But the
Yes.
education part, the foundation of it, I can totally get where you could give that online. And so that's awesome that people can travel in and even get a class like that, because they're not offered everywhere, and not everyone has that experience. It's a very specialized kind of area in what you guys do. So I love that. Someday I'm going to get you to Denver. I'm going to have a big enough space. That's my goal.
Oh, we would
out.
love that, because I know there's so many spiritual people in Denver, and you have Gaia TV is rooted there, you're rooted there. There's a lot there, and the mountains are very spiritual and hold a lot of wonderful energy. We would love to be able to come and demonstrate and talk about what we do and teach, because we feel it's very important to teach, explain things, and so do our guides. So sometimes, instead of just all the phenomena, of course, everybody would love to receive a gift, or an airport, but it's also very important that they're coming out to do lectures. So to teach people, and it's really life-changing when you hear the vibration of one of these ancient beings coming to teach. We even had in November Dual Cool on one of my shows in November. I played the message because that was recorded by voice. I mean, coming to talk about what was happening in our elections and in our government in this day and age. It was really, really mind blowing.
I bet. I bet that would be an awesome recording. I'll have to go see if I can still find it on your show because I
Yeah.
know, was it Ministers of Angels when you shared that?
It was on Chat with Minister of Angels. You can see those on YouTube. So it was one of the ones in November. But you know what? I can also send you it so you can share it maybe with your podcast with or
I would love that.
separately.
Send me a link and I'll put it in the description so those listening can go and listen to it. I would love
Okay.
that. I think that would be awesome. I would love to hear it too. Julie,
Okay.
this has been so amazing because I don't think a lot of people understand or know what this is. And to be able to spend time with you to explain, like I've been curious about the trumpet. I've thought about getting a trumpet. So, my curiosity and mediumship is going a little further each time. And I think that's how spirit draws us and guides us in. So, thank you for taking the time today to really chat. I knew this was going to be an amazing show. So, thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Thank you for allowing me to come and share some information. It's always my pleasure. And I mean, I could talk about this probably for 4 hours straight and we'd still have more. But yeah,
I
so
just love
so
it. We'll
thank
just
you.
have to have you back on the show again sometime to chat with us again because it is such a broad topic and there's so much information that can be shared in that. So we'll just have to have you back on in the future to discuss this. But thanks for taking the time. And if you ever get to Denver, if I don't get you here and somebody else does, please let me know because I would definitely come and support and be there. I think it would be very awesome. And so hopefully someday I'll figure this all out and we'll get her to Denver, her and Michael
Great.
both. That would be awesome. Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
All right. And everyone have a wonderful new year. And I will talk to you soon. And just know we are limitless beings. There are no limits to what we can do.
That is very true. Thank you for watching. I hope you'll like and comment on your favorite channels wherever you see us in the show. And I hope we get to see you in person or online in our next show. I hope you have a sacred, magical week. And thank you so much for checking out our show.
Thank you for joining us. To find out more about Vialet, head over to discoveryourspiritualgifts.com. You can also send a personal message to Vialet through email, violet@discoveryourspiritualgifts.com. If you love the show, subscribe to our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or Spotify. Until next time, remember, we are meant to have abundant and joyful lives. We hope to see you soon at Discover Your Spiritual Gifts.